That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And 25 years ago today, an anthropomorphic cat named Danny tap danced his way into Hollywood and subsequently into our hearts. That's right, folks. We're talking Cats Don't Dance, the 25th anniversary retrospective podcast, because we're old. Dragon, all the things that we used to love when we were little are now old now, just like us. Do you understand the concept of how time works?
See, why do you always got to look at a glass half
I
half
know, I
empty? Why
know.
can't we look at it half full?
Okay, well, I'll tell you half full, man. This thing holds up so well. It's almost unbelievable how much this thing holds up on a rewatch. I truly think Cats Don't Dance is one of those like evergreen movies that you could just kind of constantly keep coming back to. There's not really a lot as far as dated stuff goes. There's not really a lot as far as like plot holes or I mean, it's the movie's like practically only an hour long, so the plot is going to go by quick. There's not going to be pacing issues to it. I think every character is practically perfect. Dragon, oh my god, like we're gonna have to like literally put her up on the pedestal like the adults in the movie do. But Darla Dimples, Jesus Christ, does she hold up on a rewatch? Oh man, oh I can't wait to get to her. So yeah, Dragon, I'm chomping at the bits with this one. The rewatch honestly kind of blew me away with just how much it held up. If anything, it almost holds up better on a rewatch than I remember it. Especially because some of the themes of racism are a lot more kind of like in your face now. So I kind of see where they're going for with some of the themes. What say you, Dragon? What's your experience with this thing?
Yeah, so I mean, nostalgically, the marketing was, the marketing of the animated films of this era are such a missed time for me. I don't know about you. This is where like the underdogs of animation really left an impact. Between the Iron Giant and and Cats Don't Dance. And you
Was
can't
this
like
an Iron Giant? Absolutely. Those were the big two of this era
now,
in
mind
terms
you.
of underrated animation. Yeah.
Now, mind you, I mean this definitely got a better trailer than the Iron Giant got, but the point still stands. Just just the fact that I can't really recall the ads I saw of this being for VHS or theatrical, but I remember them just being really kind of making an impact and really sticking in the mind. And again, it just kind of signifies kind of this bygone era for animation where there was like really good word of mouth. If you saw one trailer, it left an impact, or you saw, man,
Oh,
what is this thing, and it just kind of
right,
stuck
right.
in the old noodle. I was impressed by it, and I rather enjoyed it when I saw it, and I kept basically and throughout from time to time, this movie just kind of keeps turning up like a bad penny from now and again. It's like not like always like on the instant Rolodex when you think of the animation greats when it pops up. It's like, oh yeah, Cats Don't Dance. Like it's the old pleasant, it's the pleasant postcard in the drawer, so to speak. I'm like, oh, I remember when we did that. So I mean, in terms of the film itself, this film is looking back on it. This film is utterly such a delightful love letter to the golden age of Hollywood in the 30s. It's the animation is spectacular. The Turner feature, and I mean, we'll get into this with the background. Say Turner and or Warner Brothers Animation, whatever hat you want to put on it. This was their heyday in the 90s in terms of the animated products they were turning out, at least in terms of the manpower they were putting into the look of it. This celebrates the glitz and glamour of old Hollywood in an optimistic yet ultimately realistic way, which I don't think many people saw coming. It's kind of like, speaking to the kind of the racial component you're bringing up. It's it's kind of like a more targeted version of of an aspect of the Roger Rabbit story. What we saw with Who Framed Roger Rabbit
Yeah,
in
totally,
regards to the
totally.
yeah, in regards to how these performers act in the how they play in the business, only they're animals instead of just being animated characters because everyone's animated
Uh,
in this. So ultimately, it's pretty short, it's pretty straightforward, and again, I concur, holds up tremendously well.
Dragon, you know what the ultimate poster quote for this movie should be?
What?
It's like sing, but good.
Okay.
All right. Anyways.
All right. Sing deep down, probably riding the
Oh,
coattails.
so, this movie obviously curb stomps the hell out of Sing. Don't even put
Well,
this and
no, no
Sing in
well,
the same breath.
I know what I'm saying is, do you think Sing is just borrowing a lot of cues from Cats Don't Dance
A little
ultimately?
bit, just at least just as far as like certainly not as far as like the deeper, like moral kind of philosophical elements go with the racism, but definitely the whole like, hey, they're animals, they're gonna put on a show. Definitely that element for sure. All right.
Right.
Okay, so one thing I also really have to point out before we get into background, Dragon, of course, I'm sure you remember, much like Iron Giant back in the day and Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and stuff like that. This, for me, I don't think I ever was aware of it coming to theaters for some reason. It really slipped under my radar. But where I do vividly remember it is, we keep talking about this, but the Cartoon Network Theater, the premiere like movie, it was basically the Cartoon Network equivalent to the Wonderful World of Disney, if you will.
Oh yeah, I do remember that, all the various airings of it on Cartoon Network for sure. Yeah.
That is absolutely where this to me was like a Cartoon Network movie first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely where I associated it with. All right, so Dragon, let's get to the background. I'm honestly really interested to hear how Gene Kelly comes into the fold on this one. So
Oh yeah.
regale us away, buddy.
Okay, so the genesis of this, I still don't fully believe this. I'm just going to tell you what the rumor is. All right, I think it's at least somewhat. This is somewhat substantiated, but this always sounds a little too good to be true for me. So the rumor is this project originally started as Michael Jackson project.
That's wild.
So I mean,
I
there
could
is
kind
some.
of buy it though. I could kind of buy it.
I mean, here's the evidence I have that it probably is true. Is that
Oh
so? Michael
God, did,
Jackson.
did it star MC Scat Cat from that one Paula Abdul video?
Well, I mean, yes and no.
Oh
Here's the
man.
thing. So,
Oh,
well,
why did I have it? Why did I actually? Why was I right? MC Scat Cat.
Well,
Jesus
well,
Christ. All
again,
right.
not
Go
not
ahead.
not specifically. All I can tell you is what we do know is that Michael Jackson, for the longest time, was trying to do like an animated kind of hybrid project. Now, I assume that project was inspired by Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That is my
Uh
assumption.
huh.
So the idea he was looking for like a knockoff of Roger Rabbit, in which he would be the live action star, and he would be starring with like animated characters, which for many years is
You would play
suggested.
Darla Dimples.
Eh,
Can you imagine?
no, I can't. So
I know.
my point is, he. I remember back the earliest thing I heard of him doing something like this was there was talk of like a stop motion kind of animated thing. And you remember Kevin Smith talked about this once. He was pitched this project, or at least like one of these projects during the evening with things, where Michael Jackson, like a kid, where a thing where he turned into like an animated car.
Uh huh.
So that's what I'm saying. I assume that is the same project that Mike Jackson been trying to make for the longest time, in which again just to try to do like something that was stop motion. Then over the years, it kind of shifted between 2D and 3D. So the speculation here's where the real now all of that can probably be substantiated. This is the really big speculation thing. Now he really wanted to do it co-starring Looney Tunes. Now, assumedly, what happened was when he left the project. I forget if the '90s is when all the the iffy stuff happened with him. I'm pretty sure it's when that happened. So I imagine any momentum he was getting with this animated project definitely kind of left when he left the project. But the last they heard of this is Jackson wanted to do something with Looney Tunes, and ergo, a few years later, we get Space Jam. So,
Oh
assumedly,
man.
now again, the rumor is the studio mentality was, well, we lost that Michael. Let's put a different Michael in there. Again,
Jesus.
it sounds a little too good to be true, so I wouldn't bet all of King Midas silver on that. But the point being, it's like, hey, he was pitching something with like animated, like with Looney Tunes specifically, and we get a Space Jam movie, which again, live actor, animated cast, you fill in the blanks yourself. Point being, that's what got the ball rolling. So yeah, because of the Looney Tunes, I assume that kicks it over to kind of Warner Brothers Animation and/or kind of the Turner, the Turner feature animation
Yeah,
of
I
it
mean,
all.
this very much feels like just Warner Animation, just in general. Like even if it wasn't for the Looney Tunes attachment, because just the anthropomorphized character design, the pace of the animation. I mean, it's right up their wheelhouse with what they were doing at the time.
So basically, from that point, it just kind of turns into kind of an evolution of the idea where it's like, okay, let's just say I'm pretty sure because this is literally during the course of this film is when they're making the leap over from Turner Feature Animation to basically being absorbed into Warner Brothers Animation. So when the film starts, as you
Who then
saw, it
became
says
Warner Animation Group, who is now dead.
right. So you see what I mean? It's like
Warner
when
has not had good luck with animation companies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you start this film, it says Turner Feature Animation, so it ended up getting the billing. But again, I think in the aftermath, when this came out, and again, the reason it was on Cartoon Network so often was Warner Brothers. So, anyways, the point being, whichever animation studio was calling the shots during this, it kind of evolved into okay, we can't use Looney Tunes, let's just make it animated, anthropomorphic, animal characters on a studio backlot, which then evolved into okay, let's set an old Hollywood like kind of an homage, but starring cats. And then some executive knew Mark Dindal. I think you remember Mark Dindal, don't you?
I should, but I don't.
Okay, you're gonna love this. Okay, the
right.
reason this movie is so good and it holds up so well is you and I both love this director's work.
Oh, okay.
Mark Dindal, so he had done, he was mainly an effects man in the animation game through many projects, including even some live action films that had like animated segments. The studio executive knew Dindal on The Rocketeer. He did the animated segment of The Rocketeer. That was Mark Dindal who directed that.
Nice.
That was like, okay. This movie was his directorial debut, but that was like the closest thing he had done to really directing a sequence of animation. It was the Rocketeer sequence. So it's like, hey, I like your work. We're doing this movie. You interested? So Mark Dindal, this was his debut, but he went on to do. He didn't direct a lot in his career, but he went on to direct The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh man!
You see it now.
I can absolutely fucking see it.
You see all the similarities
even down to
now.
How the villain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's trippy.
The timing, the comedy.
That's crazy. That Dragon. That's blowing my mind right now.
Right.
That is fucking crazy.
Yep, that's Dindal, baby.
I mean, even like I said, like even down to like the villain being a prima donna who's followed around by a big hulking guy. Yep. Oh man, that's crazy.
I know, right? So again, his classic slapstick sensibilities that we saw in Emperor's New Groove and all the little touches. So clearly, Dindal had a big influence there, kind of basically cutting his teeth in preparation for Emperor's New Groove in the grand scheme of things. A few years later, and our writer is familiar too. I had a couple writers, but the main writer I want to highlight, Bob Sganaway.
Okay,
the guy who did who show ran Monsters at Work.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nice. I mean, I'm not nearly as thrilled. Like, I'm sorry, Dragon. Monsters at Work was a good show, but I don't get the sentimental, like, oh, Monsters at Work. He did Monsters at Work. Oh, God.
And my point is, hey, we had some Disney and Pixar talent on this, okay? The operative point being we had some good people on this. Which, again, probably the reason it was so good. Like, them cutting their teeth on some early animation. Anyway.
Sure.
Okay, so let's see. So again, during the big changeover from Turner Feature to Warner Animation, there were a lot of studio guys that were butting in. This film was in danger of becoming Rockadoodle, Tiki.
Oh, I could see it. I could totally see it. It would have been Rockadoodle if not handled better. Yeah.
I'm saying literally, they were pitching like, "Hey, can you make it like a '50s rock and roll thing?" And it's like, no.
No, yeah, I absolutely could see the writing would have been on the wall. Yeah, I mean, it's like basically Dragon. The thing with this movie is like if it does not have the heart on the sleeve appreciation for the old school golden age of Hollywood, it fails.
Yeah, if this thing is in earnest, it's gonna fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just gonna be kids like in the theater saying, "Why is it in the 30s?" Anyway, so again, the big key in all this, I think, ultimately, whether it was direct or not, I think just you kind of feel it in the DNA of this film. It was just the best choice ever they could have made. They went out to Gene Kelly to be essentially the dance consultant of the film.
Oh man.
So Gene Kelly, this is Gene Kelly kind of towards the end here. This is the last thing he was involved with.
And of course, I think Gene Kelly, obviously, besides Singing in the Rain, I think as far as pop culture osmosis goes, the big thing I remember from him is him dancing with Jerry the Mouse.
Yep. I mean, between that and dancing with Kermit the Frog, he's danced with all the greats.
You might say that dancing with animated characters is kind of his specialty.
Yep, he's danced with Stewie back when Family Guy was good. Yeah, that's all that.
But Dragon, unlike Paula Abdul, did he ever dance with a cat?
No, but Peter Griffin did once.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, okay. So anyway, the point is, so they went out to Gene Kelly. They went to his house, I think, and they kind of he was very enthusiastic about the film. He was really feeling like he loved the whole like throwback.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the whole thing where Christopher Reeves was very directly attached to the baseball movie Everyone's Hero.
Yeah, Everyone's Hero. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Is that on the money at all?
Well, remember, Christopher Reeve like co-directed that, Tiki.
Right, so he probably had even more involvement in that than Gene Kelly did.
Saying.
But I'm just saying it's really cool when these like legends of Hollywood attach themselves like in a pet project capacity to a movie like this.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't actually seen Everyone's Hero. I don't know how good it is. Frankly, the animation doesn't look great, but it's still cool to see the passion.
I told you, Rob Williams is in that, right?
No, I did. You probably told me. I didn't remember that though.
Yeah, because he was friends with Christopher Reeve. He had a role in the film. Anyway, so what was I? All right. So point being, again, he was very enthused about the film, and sadly, again, the last project he was involved with, which is why it's dedicated in his honor, and again, feels very right because again, the film is kind of coursing with some of that Gene Kelly magic, with the earnestness that it's at play, and the main character very much exudes Gene Kelly. So
the main character is very much Gene Kelly, absolutely. Like you might as well just call him Gene.
down to the hat and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So of course,
I'm genuinely surprised they didn't just go the extra mile and literally just name him Gene the cat.
So you're probably wondering, like, why is this? How can we make this film any better in the backstory? I'm going to tell you. So Randy Newman did all the songs.
I noticed that in the it popped up in the credits, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this is a Randy Newman joint.
To shout it out real quick, just the opening credits too. I love how they really put they prominently put marquee. They put the names on the screen so you see them, and not just just credits. I mean, it's just literally like, okay, Randy Newman gets kind of an
they do the thing where the credits are diegetic with the setting of the animation.
Yeah, the signs and all the signage. Like there's a bus sign that says Mark Dindal. Like that's a classy way to credit the director. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course, Randy Newman's doing the songs. I believe the score as well, but at the very least the songs, composed songs for the film. And now, sadly, like most Warner Bros. Animation films in the '90s, sadly, film was a massive bomb at the box office.
Yeah,
bad. I might have done worse than Iron Giant. I think
that's what I was wondering. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, especially.
Let's say the film.
Like kids are into like big robots. What the fuck kids are into like cats who are in the golden age of Hollywood?
That's the thing. If anyone knew about Iron Giant, they would have shown up to it. Okay, that wasn't the problem with Iron Giant. Iron Giant had a terrible trailer, but everything else though was great. Anyone who saw it was
Captain Dance is just a hard sell. It's a hard sell if you're not already into the golden age of Hollywood stuff.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing is that all I know in terms, if I recall, Cats Don't Dance, its budget was like 30, 33, 36. It was 32 million. It was 32 million, and it grossed roughly like 3 to 3.6 million.
Ooh, God.
So that's what I'm saying. That's bad. I don't even know.
Yikes.
Forget how tight the Iron.
That's really bad.
I have to just hope that Iron Giant grossed a little bit more than that. God.
We all know that 8 Crazy Nights is the actual movie that killed the company, so we can rest easy knowing that.
It's the shame.
The blame doesn't fall on these movies.
That's the thing that just kills me. Those movies did have good animation.
They did. They absolutely. They had wonderful animation.
God, and so it's just an utter tragedy. And again, let me put it this way: one last Iron Giant connection here. So you remember the films that led up to Iron Giant. Basically, every time they subsequently bombed, building to the Iron Giant, the noose kind of tightened on the Iron Giant because they were distracted because Warner Brothers was scrambling, dealing, or at least especially during the big changeover, they were scrambling, working on. Okay, well, we got to cut the budget on this and do this. So Iron Giant was kind of working, kind of like in anonymity, doing what they do when they weren't interfered with. But after a while, kind of catches up like, oh boy, if we have eyes on us, we're in trouble. So they kept the fire going on Iron Giant. So if there's any positive to take away from the bombs going on, it's like, okay, all the attention is going towards Cat Don't Dance right now. We can do this. So yeah, that's the long and short of it.
All right, so I'm literally chomping at the bits to get to Darla Dimples, but let's build up to her. Where do you want to start?
One thing, there's only one nitpick I have of the movie that I completely forgot about till the rewatch. Because let's be honest, when I rewatch Cats Don't Dance, I'm usually jumping to the Hollywood opening number because I love that part. But I forgot. Film still opens with kind of this princess and the peasant kind of once upon a time opening, which is kind of pointless.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
not
like the
great.
one dig I can make at the. It's like the only thing. It's like, why can't we just cut that out and just jump to him on the bus? Do we really need that? Like it's like
It
just
kind
it's
of
like yeah,
reminds me of the opening of We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, with like Rex on the golf course telling the story to the little baby bird. It's like, do we really need this framing device, guys?
yes, but I do love him golfing though.
Yeah, no, that is a great image. I agree.
I mean, you're right though. It doesn't really help our
That
story, but
is
I
an
just love.
image. People have made this comparison before, but it's an image straight out of like a Far Side comic or something.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Anyways,
So Tiki, I am so head over heels with the opening number of this the Hollywood paved roads paved with gold. I love it.
I mean, oddly enough, Dragon, the movie that this actually really reminded me of in terms of like, reverence for the golden age of Hollywood and the themes of like getting up and picking yourself up by the bootstraps and pursuing your dream no matter the cost. You know what movie reminded me of?
Singing in the Rain.
Well, yes, but also, ironically enough, a movie that was inspired by Singing in the Rain, La La Land.
Oh, that figures. Yep. Yep. That
Yeah.
tracks.
I got some real La La Land vibes from this opening number, which of course is also like Singing in the Rain vibes for sure. But
Yep.
yeah, just kind of like the whole celebratory, like you're arriving in Hollywood with a song in your heart, and you just gotta sing it out loud. It's kind of like the classic musical rule of thumb of like, if the how does it go, Dragon? If the character can't express himself through dialogue, he sings. If the character can't express himself through singing, he dances. Is that how it goes? Something
I mean,
like that.
I've never heard that saying, so I don't know.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry. I don't mean to derail it, but yeah, it does kind of have that sort of philosophy, though. Where Danny is just so captivated by being in Hollywood, and you can just see the enthusiasm and the magic and the wonder on his face. Dragon. Like Dragon. Danny as a character is just utterly infectious, is he not? He is such a goddamn optimist in the best of ways. He's not an annoying optimist. He's just a genuine, like, freaking heart on sleeve optimist, if there ever was one.
Yeah. I mean, just the opening itself, it tells you everything you need to know about this character. Again, he's got that Gene Kelly polish. He's so optimistic. It's a jaunty tune. Again, we have like very much a Gene Kelly Jerry Mouse dance with his little buddy
Uh,
Pudge. Who again, that penguin was the biggest thing in the marketing for me as a kid. Just like seeing, man, look how adorable that little dancing
the
penguin
penguin,
is.
what's funny about the penguin is, from a stylistic point of view, he kind of bothers me because whenever I see him, I'm always like, hey, the set for the Pebble and the Penguin is over there.
See, I knew you were going to make a pebble in the penguin.
I don't know. I,
reference.
I just think it's kind of funny. They came out around the same time, and I think very much he looks like a Pebble in the Penguin character. It's a good character, to be sure. Like, I really do like how that character kind of mirrors Danny's sort of like head in the clouds mentality, and he's kind of the catalyst for the big third act turnaround. So,
Well, speaking of mirrors and stuff, I think something we really should highlight. I think one of the best parts about the opening, from a story context, is again, I love how we enter, at Grauman's Chinese Theater, like the mecca of Hollywood. Where all the handprints go, and you've made it. You've made an impression, literally in the town itself. You have a lot of the celebrity caricature sort of things going on there. We see like Laurel and Hardy and stuff. Like as we go past, the Brown Derby
the,
restaurant,
the
we have.
Brown Derby, of course, that got me because, of course, I very much enjoy the Brown Derby at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but the actual Brown Derby in Hollywood hasn't been around for decades. So that was cool to see. That was a cool little Easter egg.
And of course, I mean the big story thing, which is so great, is it's so brilliant that we parallel the literal glitz and glamour. You see like the sparkling golden kind of like rendering of the animation where Danny's just tearing up the town unaware. He's basically on the receiving end, almost like Jessica Jones in the MCU of like, look at all the spectacularness that's going on here, and look at Jessica Jones getting the crap end of it. We have Sawyer
Uh,
on the crap end of the Hollywood dream, which again is like kind of a foreshadow to what her experience has been. And it's really we have this fun meet cute between the two of them. Everything he's doing, it's like just celebrating in this very earnest way. It kind of knocks her in the knocks her in the fountain.
mhm.
Also, side note, Scott Bakula. Had no idea he could sing. Completely forgot that Scott Bakula voices Danny and that he could
Yeah,
sing in this
I
film.
think he owns this role. I really do.
Yeah, he's great.
Uh-huh.
All right, so should we talk about? I know you're aching to get the Darla
No,
Dimple.
we can talk through Sawyer first.
Right. So what do you think, Sawyer?
I love her. I really think she's kind of the heart of the movie. Like, I mean, Danny is the heart on the sleeve optimist, to be sure. But I think Sawyer is kind of like the realistic portrayal of what it's actually like to go to Hollywood to achieve your dreams and not necessarily get the success you were hoping for. You know, kind of compromising with becoming an agent and still having a career, just not the career she wanted. I think the two of them have a freaking absolutely adorable chemistry with each other. It is a little bit of that thing where she doesn't like him at first, but what I love about the chemistry with them is that she starts to turn around on him specifically because of his undying optimism, which is kind of what was annoying to him at the start when she first met him. So I love that this character just, you know, he doesn't just instantly endear herself to him. Um, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a growth between the two of them, where she's very much she's settled for the fact that like the dreams are not going to come true. She's kind of like a cog in the machine, where he's very much like on day one. He represents everything that she came to the town with. So again, she's kind of like more like rolling her eyes, like, oh, I remember that, the arrogance of youth.
It very much is the arrogance of youth in some sense, yes.
Yeah. So she's very much like, okay, look, I'm not going to get sucked into the idealism. I'm not going to get sucked into what I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to like
And then
climb
towards
up a
the start
ladder
of the
for a
movie,
fall.
Danny's optimism, it's actually like very you know,
Infectious.
kind of gets him into trouble.
It does. It does.
Which leads to Darla Dimples.
All right. Okay. Let's just just gonna go
Right,
through some of the
Dragon,
other.
she is amazing. She holds up incredibly well. I mean, I honestly think as an animated villain, she is just like top tier with the best of the Disney villains. I mean, oh man, I cannot say enough good things about Darla Dimple. She is a phenomenal character.
Very much a proto Yzma for Dindal.
Uh-huh. But I think as far as like emotional layers and complexity, she's even scarier than Yzma is. I mean, it's like she represents a very real world kind of you know, kind of evil.
Yeah. So some interesting stuff to talk about Darla. Just real quick here is that I love how our introduction to Darla Dimple is through like her basically her Shirley Temple picture, which is the little archangel, which is a really
I by the way, I love that as a concept for a Shirley Temple movie. It
yep.
makes a lot of sense to get like a bunch of animal characters in the scene. Like I love it. It feels so organic.
Also, a bit of biblical pun. The archangels, they're not to be messed with. So it's a little bit of like,
Uh,
yeah, she's it's not a
oh God,
friendly
I mean,
angel.
I'm sorry. I could just go here all. I could just blab on all day about how much I love like every little detail of this character. I love that scene where she's meeting with Danny and she's biting off the heads of the animal crackers.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. So Darla's evil plan. I love how she does the Hollywood thing where she's just like, hey, let's do lunch. She does lunch with
Oh,
Danny, and she's biting off the heads of the animal crackers. And again, this is kind of Dindal's kind of prototype for the Emperor's New Groove style, where it's like we have some pleasantries. We're like we have someone over for lunch instead of spinach puffs. It's like we're having giant slices of cake and biting the animal cracker heads off. And it's just and again like you have like the restrained insanity of like the villain waiting for something to happen, like ask me a favor.
yeah. Oh man, the restrained insanity. How Darla Dimples throughout this movie is like just barely keeping it together as far as you know, having a public face.
So
Oh,
speaking of that,
it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. I cannot say enough good things
so
about it.
so something fun fact about Darla. Now again, this was confirmed. This is confirmed on the animated series side of things. I brought this up when we talked about the baby doll episode. So remember, she looks very much like the baby doll character
She
we had in
does,
the
she
animated
does,
series.
yeah.
And again, that was confirmed to be that was sheer coincidence. They was working on that at the same time. That when they were in production with each other, it was just sheer
That's
coincidence.
crazy.
I forget which one came out first in Netflix. I forget when I think this probably came out before. Well, I think the animated series I think Baby Doll came out right before this. I think it's when that
Uh-huh.
around where that happened. Anyway, but again, it's very much it's like the best comparison is that Shirley Temple meets Angelica Pickles. That's essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely the best comparison for sure.
And again, I love that the Little Archangel's like this very gimmicky kind of picture with animals. And honestly,
I can't get enough of it. I can't get it. It's so clever. It's
you know
so
what's even
clever.
what's even more clever just with the whole
What?
Darla Dimple concept. It's that it's the oldest adage in Hollywood, like literalized. Never work with animals or children.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely, yep.
And again, as you can look at that in the very obvious comedic sense, if you want to look in the dramatic sense, it's like, hey, the industry has a bias against animals, and when working with children is a nightmare.
Uh-huh.
As we see with the director. By the way, it's the shout out the director because he's now passed, and I love this actor every time he pops up. Rene Auberjonois, he plays the very kind of Doctor Scratch and Sniff esque director, very Animaniacs
Yeah.
esque. Directors kind of like
There is a lot of Animaniacs energy in this movie.
Again, Animaniacs pulls a lot from the 30s kind of era what this does, so it's very
yeah.
on the studio a lot as well. So
Right,
again, it's
right. Absolutely. The fact that it's on the Warner Brothers studio lot very much makes this a spiritual mirror to Animaniacs in some ways.
Yeah, and again, just piggybacking off what you were saying, again, it's like this very much showcases the two-faced nature of Hollywood. That's what's represented by Darla. She's the dark side of child stardom. That remember, there was a lot more of a foothold of child star. It was a different foothold, mind you, where again it was a little bit more glamorized than it was like we all now know how like like the child star from TV shows or sitcoms, how that goes. We know how that story goes. But back in the day, the Shirley Temples are there. That's the thing we still don't know a whole lot about. I don't think we really know. But the closest thing we know about is like the Little Rascals when they grew up, terrible things happened to them. So that's as close to the
Judy
child story.
Garland as well.
That's the better example. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. There's like
yeah.
dark stories with these child stars, and we're kind of doing this in kind of a fun way and just showing that. Yeah, imagine if you had like an Angelica Pickles with all the power in the world, though. At that time, she is the literal face of the studio, so they all have to beckon to
And
her.
3-year-old Angelica Pickles, not 12-year-old Angelica Pickles from All Grown Up, where she got neutered.
Exactly. So something else. Again, you already brought up Darla, but here's the thing we got to talk about. Okay, Darla's one thing. Darla's fantastic. We'll get into her big show-stopping villain song later.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that. But the thing we got to talk about, Max.
Yeah, Max is honestly maybe one of the all-time great character designs, like fucking ever.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's not that I never thought about this. I think just on instinct you kind of pick up on it. But really looking at it years later, 25 years later, you look at it, it's like, man, that is a really ingenious thing that they've done here. Is that so? Max he's very much Boris Karloff's Frankenstein as a butler. Just huge scale. So it's a 30s pool. That's the thing that has occurred to me. Like, oh my God, it's another 30s pool. Like we have a Shirley Temple and her sidekick is essentially Boris Karloff Frankenstein as a butler. And it's basically Frankenstein meets Schwarzenegger in terms of the voice, which is kind of a funny mixture. And now you'll notice they use like the caps. Well, I'm going to call it the cap system.
Yes. The cap system is used really, really well in this movie. I noticed it really holds up.
I forget if industry wide. I forget if Disney literally has like the trademark on the caps, or if they just kind of call that for just with the style of
I'm not sure. I know they were the first people to like majorly use it.
Yeah, that's the thing is, but regardless, essentially the cap system is used on Max's face when he does like the really great lip animation, like yes, Miss Dimple.
What does the kitty say?
Very good. So, by the way, fun fact. Mark Dindal did the scratch for Max. So that's the director's voice.
Nice.
Because he's we Miss Dimple. So again, it's just the great comedy of opposites here, where the big personalities in the little girl, the huge scales on the very reserved butler. It's just hilarious, and also. Oh my God! One of the best shots in the entire film is when he exits. Just the scale and the build and the operatic score.
Just in every shot he's in is straight up impressive. I mean, it's Dragon. This honestly, like outside of course, the fact that shamefully we do not make 2D animated movies anymore. This looks like a modern movie, just as far as like how fluid the animation is, how well the cap CGI blends into everything else.
It is blue math quality, Tiki.
It really is. It really is.
So let's see. We should backtrack a little bit. We should talk about the Farley Wink crew. Like the other
Yeah.
animal co-stars of the
Hey,
film.
look,
So
it's Don Knotts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like how for the most part there's Hal Holbrook. Yeah, I believe that's what's the Holbrook you usually talk about, the one from the movie fights.
How? Oh God, it's
Is it
been a
not?
while.
Is it not like another Hal Holbrook? Is it just there's
No,
a
it's not
different?
Hal Holbrook.
It's not Hal. Oh, well, no, I'm not. I was thinking of a
Oh,
different
now
Hal.
I feel fucking stupid. What's that guy's last name?
Because I could have sworn it was like the whole thing was they kept making this gag about Hal Holbrook being his father or something, or some gag of some sort.
Hal Rudnick.
Rudnick, there you go.
No, and I'm pretty sure the gag is that Scott Mance was his biological father.
Oh,
I'm pretty
right.
sure that's the gag.
Well, forget what I was laying out then. Point being, so yeah, we have we got Cranston Goat, which of course every time I hear that name, it's like, oh, if there were one change to make going back to Catstone Dance, let's cast Bryan Cranston.
I know,
It's
right?
Cranston Goat.
It's Cranston Goat.
So, but no, seriously, with the casting, you have Hal Holbrook.
I love how the name of that character, it almost literally just feels like a note on one of our like fan pitches. Just Cranston Goat.
Yep.
We'll figure the rest out from there, but you get the picture.
Yep, of course you got the Don Knotts, TW Turtle. They're doing some great pulls here. Also, Francis, the fish with the cigarette holder chosen very specifically. That is Betty Lou Gerson, man. That's Cruella DeVille from 101 Dalmatians.
No shit.
That's why she's got. That's why they gave her the cigarette holder.
That is a legacy performance right there. Damn.
Yeah, one of the witches from Hocus Pocus is Tilly, the hippo. So it's a great kind of pull. And the fact is, one, just with the status quo in general, just with we kind of brought it up a little bit here again. So again, it's the big Roger Rabbit idea expanded here, where it's like the industry is prejudiced against animal actors, which again, the adage of don't work with kids and animals. It's just we have our band of misfits with with their failed dreams. Essentially, these guys are the journeyman actors. These are the guys who are there's a legacy in Hollywood for the minorities.
You're Richard Jenkins of the world.
Sure. Well, yeah, sure. Pretty much. So there's kind of a line between character actors and journeyman actors, but sure, same difference. Point being, there was a legacy in Hollywood of the minority or the typecast roles in Hollywood of like the guys who were the journeyman business. They're going to come in for all the auditions and just like nowadays we have with like kind of like the improv group actors. Ones who are like by the bootstraps. Like we're gonna put it. We're gonna put our all into this, and we're gonna go to all the auditions.
So basically, all our friends from Just Giggle It.
Exactly. They're yeah. Yeah, until Joshua Thomas hopefully appears in a certain show that we both love. It's a journeyman actor.
Again, he's just gonna be there, Dragon. Season 6, episode 1. He's gonna be there in Howard Hamlin's office as his trusted assistant.
Or he'll be at the golf club.
Oh God!
Again, not the golf club.
Could you imagine if he was like a one scene deal, like that Chad guy from the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah. Okay. Anywho, at the country club, I meant to say, but yes. So anyway, yeah. So I like that we have like this ragtag kind of group of actors who, again, like they're kind of the burned out version of what Danny is along with Sawyer here, where again there's very much representative of we took our shot and we're just kind of we're coming to the auditions and hoping for parts, but we're not expecting the glitz and glamour on day one. Like Danny has a whole list made out of like he's
literally got he is the classic kind of like fresh off the bus with a freaking song in his heart and a smile on his face and his head in the clouds.
He's a cat from Kokomo, man. What do you expect?
I love that little detail. What is it, Kokomo, Nebraska?
I think so. I don't remember. I know it was like I know Darla Dimple said Kokomo was somewhere else and it wasn't. I forget if it was the correction was Nebraska or what. But yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, but yeah, I like that these guys have very grounded expectations after the optimism's been zapped away. And also we have some great 30s fast talking by Farley Wink himself, who was voiced by the again, because we never put him in enough things. The wonderful Frank Welker is in this, man. He's in a feature.
You're absolutely right that we don't put him like this man. Legitimately, it should be like a rule that he should be in every animated movie. I
agree. One of the most storied careers in animation.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was sad. Frank Welker's developed a bit of a complex over the years because of that sort of thing. So they really got to treat Frank Welker right in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he doesn't do like tours or anything because he's a very humble guy. Because again, if he anyway, drifting off his point being, he did the '30s fast talking extremely well. All right,
And then I
let's.
think the big highlight of the cast is the Mammoth.
Yes, Wooly, voiced by the
Um,
incomparable, the amazing John Rhys
yeah,
Davies.
I mean John Rhys Davies, just Jesus Christ, just coming in for the save. Yet again, like what a legend. But yeah, I love the concept of his character.
Mm-hmm.
Basically humanizing Leo the lion and giving Leo the lion a real plight.
Yeah, I absolutely. Wooly was always my favorite side character from the film. He was just utterly. It's a silly idea of like he has to do the logo like elephant trunk roar every
I
time.
think it's a fun idea that he has to do it every time, and they don't just keep reusing it.
Just hysterical. And again, it's the fact that again there's the comedy of that, but there's also like again John Rhys Davies bringing just the regal drama. He just brings such
Dragon, every time you
richness.
need pathos, man, you break out the Davies.
I know, I love it. It brings such respectability to it. Where he basically after the whole what does the kitty say? Just kind of disaster that happened.
What does the kitty say?
He basically gives Danny he gives Danny again the pick me ups. That's the thing in terms of pacing and laying out the narrative of this film. It's like okay, straightforward. He's had a setback, and if he can't go home yet because we need that for the low of low, so he's gonna get a little pick me up by just the right tier of recognizable star, which
Yeah,
is a character
totally,
that
totally.
everybody's
Yeah,
seen. He hasn't truly made it, but it's just the right amount of recognition to kind of give him the pick me up, where he basically kind of warns him about like he had dreams of being a composer, a film composer, and he plays the piano somehow. I don't know how that works, but he plays the piano somehow, which is an insanely awesome idea. It's ridiculous as all get out, but it's
Can you
hilarious.
imagine a sequel to Tusk where Wallace becomes a professional concert pianist?
Oh god.
He defies the odds, Dragon. It's like a feel-good story.
God. Anyway.
You can do it, Wallace. We believe in you. All right, all right.
They throw fish on the stage and anyway. So also I like when we're in his little trailer. It's very it's like a send up the Chaplin with Gold Rush, where you're in like the little small spaces shifting back and forth.
Uh-huh.
So again, the point being, Wooly lights Danny's fire here. Which let's see. So after the pep talk, then we have a bit again. Just speak to the color saturation of the film. He has like Danny kind of gets everyone again working some Gene Kelly flourish. He gets everyone into like an improvised sort of like block party, sort of like kind of song and dance number in which like he gives them like little prop stuff, and the color just comes out of the frame, and they went from like real pale and to really vibrant and colorful and happy, and it was really good.
Uh-huh.
So again, we're building. Basically, what we're doing is we're building up the whole gang of actors for a fall. Of course, Sawyer being the biggest of all, given she had been the most divorced from all this, and now she's performing again. She's doing a little dancing. Even
Yeah, I
Max.
really love that. I really love that.
I love that in this
The
scene, like
kind of
Max.
natural progression.
Yes, and I love how Max is like dancing on the side when Darla's like, "Oh, look at him being all silly." She looks and she's like Max doing like the cha cha or the samba or something to the side. Max.
Uh-huh.
Anywho, so speaking of a little check in with Darla and Max, we gotta talk big and loud, man.
Oh yeah. Oh god. I mean, this was an era for villain songs, to be sure, but I mean, I don't know, Dragon. Like this, it might honestly stand toe to toe with some of the great villain songs. It really might.
It
I
is
mean,
so
it's
insanely
just so
catchy.
bombastic.
It's so insanely catchy, and it's so well animated.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like how it recontextualizes itself. Where basically Darla in kind of the pleasant meeting with Danny, basically strike the deal with him, like, "Hey, I'll put you on in front of the Mr. Mammoth himself," and with that lie, and basically says you got to be big and loud to bring out the performance. That's what she's giving him advice, and of course it shifts to the failure of this cat is going to be so big and loud. It's like
Oh
you
yeah.
got to
Oh
sell
yeah.
it to belong, and ultimately it's like you don't belong because I say so, and I'm going to bring you down so hard you'll never get back up.
Totally,
And
totally.
I like the symbolism of the water. It's like water with cats. Cats don't like water, so water is our ultimate symbol of sadness. Whether it's the near, like it's like drowning a kitten for Darla Dimple, man. She's bringing down the, you know, she's just bringing down the sadness with like
Uh-huh.
with this flooding plot.
And then as far as the flooding plot goes, I do think it's a little over the top,
Yeah,
but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
it is. I mean, yeah, be honest. It's so darn funny when Danny and Sawyer are like arguing in the midst of the scene. It's like, no, 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 you can have it. No,
Right?
no, no, I don't want.
It's classic golden age Hollywood romantic chemistry right there. You can't be a good couple unless you have some bickering.
Yep, we pie. I think we caked her technically. But we pie and/or cake Debbie Reynolds in the face during the party scene. So
Oh,
they'll
God.
they'll get along in the end. They'll have they'll have their romance. So it'll go there.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, it's just big and loud. So again, just wonderfully crazy sequence of animation. Like think of all the crazy stuff that we do there. Like the lipstick draw. Like, she draws the lipstick kind of diagrams of Danny and Sawyer about to meet their demise, and all the heart. Like we use the fact that Darla Dimple has a very heart-shaped face, and we incorporate that into all the design work, like all these like Queen of Hearts looking stuff, and she has like a Cheshire cat
Oh yeah, she
face.
absolutely has like it very much is kind of like the Queen of Hearts like shape with the Cheshire Cat smile for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's like she disappears in the back, and we literally turned the girl into an atomic mushroom cloud. It's an insanely
Right.
awesome sequence. Like, oh my god, I was there. Like, go back to big and loud. It's like, oh god, this is awesome.
All
All
right.
right, so our low of lows.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty natural low of lows because it's not necessarily a liar revealed. It's more like, what were you thinking, you dumb idiot?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a significant difference there, I think.
Now,
It's like I feel like out, besides just, instead of just the whole like, oh, he lied to us, he said that we had an angel watching over us, but she's no angel at all. No, instead it's mostly just like, okay, Danny, we were with you for a while, but you've got your head in the clouds, man. Come on, this is never gonna work.
it's more like he lied to our emotions. He didn't really lie to
Right,
us. So like, he
exactly,
didn't actually
exactly.
lie. He's just kind of again he built us up for a fall because we
Yeah.
believed in him. So here's the thing: the "Tell Me Lies" song, which by the way I believe is sung by Nat King Cole's daughter, Natalie Cole, I think.
Okay. Nice.
Here's what I
A lot
never
of Hollywood
appreciated.
royalty in this movie.
I know, and I dig it so much. I'll tell you what I never really put together before that I think this watching me really kind of clicked with me with is that Tell Me Lies is a great inverse of the opening with Sawyer, just so
Uh-huh.
perfectly, in which, she's singing about the heartbreak of Hollywood and we're revisiting the sets that, that Danny, like we go back to Grauman's when Danny's like kind of going through them one last time, only now again with the symbol of sadness in the movie, water and rain, which I love that with all the water and rain just kind of coming down to emphasize he's really sad. It's the low of lows. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
while we're doing that, there's kind of a beauty in the heartbreak, which I think is a really kind of interesting thing they conveyed there. That even Hollywood with all the rain, it looks kind of beautiful still, just in a different way.
Absolutely, for sure.
Which again, I think speaks to why they're still doing it, like why they're still acting ultimately. Because again, you had a taste of it, and you know how
But I
wonderful it
do,
can
I,
be.
I do really like that it's his little penguin friend that gets him out of his a mix of his little penguin friend and then the straight up racist bus driver who is like more outwardly racist than anything that we saw in Zootopia.
And by the way, I love that I mean, I could be wrong here. I mean, I know that technically they haven't confirmed technically if he's modeled after this, but I think it, to me stands to reason with the Hollywood old like 30s royalty of it all. I'm thinking Ralph Cramden being the model here.
I can see it. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Yeah,
It's kind of like a lout, just kind of
especially
like
with the low key racism.
yeah, a little bit of that, yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, regardless, so yeah, so Danny has his eureka moment when he sees the poster, like, hey, the premiere's coming up, and he has like seriously like an old school, very earnest, old school like musical like silent reunion with Pudge, where he's explaining everything. We don't want to know what he's saying, but it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
totally.
they're buddies, and he's coming back for him. Yeah, that's nice.
Right.
Okay, so our third act, and again, just our flow of events here, very economized. Very
This
smart
movie is
third act.
about the length of Dumbo, and I think it uses the screen time super effectively, kind of like the old every part of the buffalo analogy.
Yep, we use every part of the buffalo. Even better, all of it correlates with Danny's list so well. It's like we're literally checking off all the boxes in
Uh,
our plots as we push forward. So we end at the premiere again, structurally very strong. I like that we have some characters at the premiere like Clark Gable. We got sorry, well we mentioned Clark. We have Cary Grant. We got Joan Crawford and of course W.C. Fields.
uh-huh.
Oh, by the way, I noticed something I never caught before. I wonder if you caught this. When the movie was playing, did you notice the storm cloud, the anthropomorphic storm cloud in the movie was Max?
No, I did not
So
notice
the
that.
idea is like, and this is what happened in Hollywood, especially. I remember the Abbott Costello movies did this all the time, where they had like some of their friends and they put them in the movies that were around them, like in other occupations, like the driver, like Lou
Uh-huh.
Costello's driver was kind of his friend. He kind of hired like a clown on the set, like to pie people in the face. He put in movies all the time, like Abbott Costello Frankenstein. So the idea is that Darla Dimple put her friend Max as the scary storm cloud in the movie.
Okay, that's fucking awesome.
So if you go back to it, you'll see like the storm cloud with Max's face on it,
Uh-huh.
like as like the
Uh-huh.
storm's moving in to like to flood the ark. So so our action set piece with Max on the roof. What do you think?
Okay, I love this whole action set piece. I honestly think it might be one of the better action set pieces in any animated movie. Specifically because of the cause and effect with what Darla's doing.
Oh yeah. So I love that. So initially, again, we pay off the meow bit really greatly too. Like when we has Max just right where he wants him on that roof. And by the way, again, we built up how scary this guy is, and we see like literally full on monster mode going after him, which is terrifying. What does the kitty say? Meow, and like took him up with the big. Again, his devotion to Darla Dimple was his undoing
And
with the
that
giant
Darla Dimple
balloon.
balloon is another thing that's animated in caps that looks
Yep.
really good and blends in
Yes.
seamlessly.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Looks so cool. All right, so just before we get to the cause and effect thing with Doris, the setup for that, the "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now" song, just a great show-stopping climax. Darla just Darla's comeuppance is just a thing of brilliance in this movie. Everything she does, this stop the song just ends up making it hilariously just better and better and better.
Dragon, it flowed together so fucking well for me. Just everything. It was great. It really did. Like as an adult watching it, it was just like a symphony of chaos.
I mean, ultimately, I just love the message of it, Tiki. The message of it being that they're going to be, we rewarded Danny's optimism. We punished Darla and we exposed her for the monster that she was to the industry, wrecked her career as she rightfully deserved it. Danny's calling out his fellow actors here about like, hey guys, why don't you? What if you're so broken by a business, why are you still here? They have no good answer for that, and they're all on board. And just again, we reward the optimism. We went off on a big show-stopping number, and it's literally about the triumphance of like nothing's going to stop us now that we have a chance in the spotlight, and all worked out really nicely. And also the granddaddy switch. That's just a great gag.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's like the patriotic fireworks and Darla's
in a certain point, if I were Darla, I'd probably just realize, like, okay, none of what I'm doing is working. Like, literally everything I am trying is just making things worse on my end. But no, she keeps going for it. She keeps going for it. She does not have that internal logic switch in her head.
Yeah, this is easily Darla at her most Yzma-esque. This whole
sequence. Definitely.
Just hysterical, dear God. Then again, we pay off Danny's list, and he got the girl, and it's like, oh, ain't that cute? And just a wonderful ending. I will admit, we only dated this movie at the very end. So here's the thing. So, Mammoth contracts them all, with big pictures, which I think, I really think we should have cut off after something like Singing in the Rain and Casablanca, because Singing in the Rain is that's your beautiful Gene Kelly tribute.
Yeah, the posters for the 90s movies do kind of date it, for
I
sure.
like it, but I'm saying if I were to look at it...
They really should have I agree that they should have cut it off with those two, yeah.
Casablanca, again, these are because again, remember, we worked in references to films that were actually playing in 39, like Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. Like we had references.
And it's like we're suddenly jumping from 39 to literal, like, at the time this movie was made, current day blockbusters.
Yeah, like I'll give you like the 40s and the 50s, sure, because that's kind of like, okay, here's the movies they went on to do. Like, okay. But I don't know. Here's the thing. As a kid, though, nostalgically loving The Mask the way I do. So, oh my God, it's The Mask! Oh my God! And then, of course, Superman and Batman and Robin. I gotta be honest, though, Wooly as Batman looks amazing. And,
Unconventional casting, but he nailed it, much like all the Batmans.
yep. Again, like Free Tilly. I mean, again, they're cute gags, but I'm
Free
just saying,
Tilly made me laugh. That was a
that's
fun pun.
it's like I don't hate them by any stretch. I'm just saying if I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, Sing in the Rain is like your emotional thing to go at. I'm like, oh, like this is literally like the story of Hollywood, much like Sing in the Rain is for that. That's a perfect
What you
kind of
do is you do the Singing in the Rain, then you see the title card of this movie's dedicated to our good friend Gene Kelly, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. Yep. That's yep.
All right. Okay, well, suffice to say, Dragon, I think we like this movie quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Any reflections on 25 years later? I mean, I truly think this is like an evergreen kind of movie. I really don't think this movie's ever gonna not be enjoyable. I mean, it really is just it fires on all cylinders. It really does. It's packs the emotion, it packs the heart, it packs the character. Honestly, one of the best villains in all of animation. I don't care. I really think she stands toe to toe with the best of the Disney villains in any competition. Yeah, I think this movie just really has it all, and it really surprised me a lot just how well it holds up 25 years later.
Yeah, she just likes rubbing it in too. It's like, oh, thank. Like she gets his name wrong all throughout the movie until right after the evil plan works. Like, oh, Danny, it was so nice working with you. Yeah, so I guess reflecting on the 25 years of it all here, I mean, I gotta be honest, I completely forgot. I had no idea that after all the times I've seen this movie, it never occurred to me that, oh, Dindal directed this. So looking back at some of these years later, looking at some more of the like the smaller details I missed out on, it was great to see Dindal's chops as a director, like before Emperor's New Groove, on something like this. Seeing that it was founded on something this good, it's such an enjoyable film. Again, it's very much of kind of that blue meth quality, like when just everything's clicking. When just my God, Warner Brothers, for a brief time in the '90s, they were so on the ball. Just the marketing was not there for them. It's and again, it's in great company with movie with some of the other '90s greats of a blue meth quality, like a Goofy movie or like Iron Giant. It's an excellent company. And we have in the comments, it's Joshua saying, "I love this movie. We too
Yeah,
love this movie."
we do indeed. Yeah, Joshua, you're coming in a little late, but happy to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, folks. I was hoping we get a lot of comments this time around because it's a super nostalgic movie, but I guess it's just you and I doing Love Fest, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, folks, it's Joshua. Thanks for your comment. Everyone else who's watching this in the archives, thanks for listening. We hope we have regaled you with nostalgia. We hope we have convinced you to check this movie out again. Seriously, folks, go back and rewatch it. It holds up fantastically well. All right. Have a good night, everyone. See y'all later.
We Miss Dimple.
What does the kitty say?
Yeah.